Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Build It with Tim. On this week's episode, we're talking about cascading deletes. And what that is referring to is the ability to delete all child objects when the parent is deleted. All right, so this is not necessarily a native function within Tadabase, but we can set up a bunch of rules and automations within your Tadabase application in order to make this possible. All right, so it's a pretty simple process, and we'll jump into the builder now and show you how to build it. All right, so when we're finished with this, what we're really building is a lot of back-end processes. So not necessarily things that are visible from the live application, but that's actually intended, right? Because the point of this is we want to build a way to delete things without showing any sort of visible remnants of a record being deleted. So in this case, we have this simple table displaying a list of projects. And if you notice, it is set to archive equals no. Okay. And on the project details page, we have a list of connected tasks who also have a field of archive is no. So we can set the project to be archived, meaning update the project and set the archive value to yes, meaning we want to archive or delete this record. When we save this, we're going to be using some form rules to run in the background to update the connected tasks and set them to be archived as well. So you can see now these tasks are now hidden from this particular table. And if we go back to the projects page, that project is now hidden from this view. Now, after this point, again, furthermore, kind of behind the scenes, we've set up two automations, two scheduled tasks to go look through the projects and tasks table every single day at a designated time and delete, actually permanently delete any records that have been marked as archive equals yes. All right, so it's a pretty simple process. Just need those two things, the form record rules and the scheduled tasks, and we'll take a look at how to set that up now. So the best example to really show you how this type of system works is through some sort of project management tool or section of your application. So in this case, we have projects and we have a bunch of tasks. So the idea here is that, over time, you're going to be building a growing list of projects, a growing list of tasks, and you may want to delete them at some point or maybe archive them. And what that really looks like is, since we have tasks that are connected to a parent object, in this case, a parent project, okay, each task is connected to a project. If I were to delete that parent project, so for instance, we'll do, we'll delete this. No, we'll delete this one at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to delete this one that has 9 connected tasks. If this record, the parent record, gets deleted, then you're going to see when we look at this table, we're going to have a bunch of blanks. Okay, those child records are now what's considered an orphaned record. Okay, they have no connection, and they are now just kind of taking up a space inside of your application, but they don't really have any context, right? This is a task record. There's no context because we no longer know what project it was actually originally connected to. So in the case that you want to delete a parent level object and you want to leave no orphaned child records, then we're going to set up a system to essentially flag both the parent and the child records to be deleted. And then we're going to set up an automation to go through there every day and delete any records that are marked to be deleted. Okay, so two-part thing where number one, we are actually creating rules to update all of the records and flag the records as necessary or appropriate, and then an automation to look through the records every single day and delete anything that is marked for deletion. Okay, so anyways, let's get started on that. The first thing that I'm going to do here is we're going to go to the page builder and we're going to set up, for one, just a sample page where we can view our projects, and with a detail page to view more information about single projects and subsequently any connected tasks. So here we'll add another table on the detail page to show all of the connected tasks. All right, so looking at this application now, very, very simple. We have one page, one parent page at least, where we can view the projects and their estimated completion and their status, and a detail page that then shows all of the tasks connected to that. All right, now, when we are building these pages, and since we are building in this kind of system to archive things, flag them for deletion or not, it's a good idea to go back and actually add an additional data source filter and filter out any records where, in this case, my field that I'm going to be marking or setting as to be deleted is called archive. And I want to make sure that I filter out any of those records. So something is marked as archive, it's not going to show in the app any longer because they have been flagged for removal. Okay, so I can go into my data source filtering of any of these data components, and I can filter out those particular records. So where archive is, sorry, I just realized I did the other one, the other one backwards. We only want to see records where archive is no. Okay, so that means when we go back to this, we're going to see no changes here right now because nothing is marked to be archived. Okay, but now we need to build a way to actually update the parent records and all of the child records. Now, through the use of our form component, the Tadabase form component, we have form record rules. Okay, and those rules have a convenient option to update this record and update connected records. So what we're going to do is right on this page where we're showing our project details and the connected tasks, we are going to put a column over here to the right. Let me get that to be full width. There we go. And we're going to add a form to edit this page's project. All right, so we're coming into the project detail page where we're viewing information about the project or any single record in whatever case you're building this in. And on this page, we will have a form that allows somebody to archive the project. So we'll call this archive project, and we'll only show the archive radio select field here. And inside of rules, this is what I'm talking about with the form record rules. So we can update this record. So that means update this project, which in this case we don't need to do because we're actually updating what we want directly in the form inputs themselves. So updating this record would mean any additional updates that you want to do after the fact. But what we do want to do is update the connected records. And in this case, we want to update the connected tasks. Okay, so the values that we're going to be setting is we're going to be setting archive to a custom value of yes. Right? And additionally, we can add a condition to say when archive for the project is yes, update the archive field for the task to yes. So we want to make sure that it's only happening, the rule is only happening when we intend to archive the project. So we're going to say archive is yes, then we're going to update all of the connected tasks and set their value of archive to yes as well. All right, so that's really it for updating everything. So let's actually go back and preview this application now, and we're just going to go through and we're going to check this and make sure that this is all working how we intend it to work. All right, because the next step is actually going through and then building the automation to delete all of the archived stuff. All right, so I suppose you could also, if you didn't want to fully delete things, this is kind of like a soft delete, I guess you could call it. Right at this point that we're at now is like a soft delete. Nothing is actually deleted, but it's all kind of marked or flagged as deleted, and it's hidden from view. And you'll see that if we go into, I'm on this project details page. If I select archive, yes, I want to archive this project, then we're going to update this particular status to archived is yes, and you can see all of these tasks are now hidden from view because of that data source filter. And then if we go back to our project, that project is no longer visible. So to the end user, it looks like this particular project and task connections have actually been deleted, but they haven't. So if we stopped right now, you could consider that like a soft delete. Now, the advantage of something like that is that you could then undelete them, right? Or unarchive them if you wanted to bring them back into view, okay? So with the same method, right? Where if we went back and we said archive project, now I didn't build myself a way to actually get back to this particular project, but we'll do it with this one here. So if we say archive is yes, and that then, removes all of the tasks, then we can also build in a way to do the opposite. So if archive is no, we're going to update the record, or I'm sorry, update the connected records, the tasks. If archive is no, we are going to then set that value back, custom delete or custom value of no. Then that means that all of those project and task records will then come back into view. Okay, so all of those have been updated, and now look, everything is right back to where it was. Now, let's say that we did want to move forward with the full delete process. Okay, so pass the soft delete into the full delete. We are going to be using scheduled tasks for this. Okay, so here we have, well, let's delete my test here. We're going to add a new add a new task, and we'll call it something like delete archived projects. And we're going to need a task for each table that we want to remove records from. Okay, because each task is actually running on a selected table. So this task that I'm saying right now, delete archive projects, is only going to run on the projects table. We're going to say on schedule, and we'll just set this to daily. And you can typically, when I'm doing something like this, I'll set it to like midnight or 12:01 or something. So it's happening in the intended off hours of the application. Okay, and our action is going to be this. So there is no option here to actually delete. So what we need to do is we need to utilize the Tadabase REST API. All right, so I'm going to save this task where it is now. And then I'm going to go over to pipes and select the REST API pipe. All right, now I'll come back and do my API credentials later, but to do that, all right, we're going to go to our settings, generate this API key, and then put it into your pipes section. All right, so our API credentials are entered into our pipe, so we can connect directly to this particular app. And what we're looking for is delete records. So in order to delete the record, all we need to tell the REST API is from which table are we deleting and which record are we deleting. And then we're going to get a response saying it was successful or not. So what we're going to do is just, well, for deleting, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 additional text fields just for consistency here. We'll say pipe response is a text field in the projects table, and same thing in here. So we can just save this pipe response when necessary. Now with deleting, it's not technically necessary because you can't set the value of a record that you just deleted, but we're going to put that there anyways. So we're going to go to automation again and delete archived projects and continue to set up our action, right? So we started it by saying update this record, which yes, we want to do. We're going to go through every single project. We're going to check whether or not archive is yes. If it's yes, then we're going to trigger this pipe, the REST API, delete a record. The 2 parameters we're going to feed are the table ID, which we can get directly from the record itself, and the record ID, which we can get directly from the record itself. And then just to fulfill the set values configuration here, we'll set the pipe response field to a pipe response of either one, doesn't matter. So we'll pick one of those to fulfill that. And then we can save this. Now we need another task, like I said, so delete archived tasks. All right, so this one is going to run on the task table, and I'll also set this up daily, but I'm going to give this a little time between the project's task running just so that we make sure we have a buffer between the 2 actually taking place. So this one I'll set to like 12:15 a.m. and right, we're going to go to our action and do the same thing. So we're looking at the task record. If archive is yes, trigger the pipe. Again, we can get the two parameters directly from our record itself that the task is looking at. So the table ID comes from the record value of the table ID, and the record ID comes from the record value of the record ID. And then we're going to save the pipe response to this field just to fulfill this particular section of the task. Okay, now we can save. So that's it at this point. So this is now set up to run daily, and any of my records that are flagged to be archived. So you can see I have some tasks here that are flagged to be archived, and I have some projects, or one project that's flagged to be archived. And that automation, that scheduled task, is going to run, or both tasks rather, are going to run every single day and at a designated time and delete any of those things, and they will be gone from your app. Now, if you want to, again, if you want to use that soft delete method that I mentioned, right, 10 minutes ago, then stop this video 10 minutes ago. Then you can use the soft delete method and not actually fully remove anything from the application. But in this case, this task is now set up to remove everything that is marked to be archived. All right, so the next kind of step to this, and I want to just point it out because I want to reference another video that I've made in the past, and that's the cascading connections video. So let's say in most cases, most applications, you're probably going to have a more complex data structure than just two tables with one connection, okay? There's very likely going to be another table that also connects to one or both of these other tables. So in this case, every project has tasks, and every task could have a note connected to it. All right, so if you want to continue this process to a third, fourth, fifth table, then we need to go back and we need to reference that cascading connections video that I made a few weeks ago. One, because it's best practice, right, to actually put connections to all the parent level objects, or as many parent level objects as you can on the child level objects. But two, so that we can update the connected tasks directly from the project, right? If we only have a note that connects to a task, that when we are on our archiving page where we are archiving the project, we won't have access to the notes because there's not a direct connection from notes to projects. So again, back to that cascading connections video, we're going to add an additional connection on the notes table. So every note connects to a task and the parent project. Now, when we go back to this particular archiving form, you can see that we can set up an additional rule to update the connected notes and do the same thing that we're doing with the tasks. And that also means that then you go into your scheduled tasks and you would set up another task to look through the notes table and delete any archived notes. All right. So anyways, that's it for this week's episode of Build It with Tim. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a quick tip to kind of make sure that your application is running as smoothly and as efficiently as possible in regards to deletions or deleting records and archiving records, removing things from view. All right, so this one comes up pretty frequently, and this is the best way to do that, to handle that. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching this week's episode, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.